Hello, everyone. Hi, friends. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your practice, your study, your curiosity. Thank you for liking and subscribing, right? Growing this Sangha through YouTube's algorithms. Our next word is energy. I've been diligently working on this Buddhism reference for our modern practice via Nichiren's instruction, Shakyamuni Buddha's Lotus Sutra Buddhism. And many of the words in this reference are modern, but many of them are from the history of Buddhism, from pre-Buddhism. My focus, and the focus of this book, is to cull meaning from these terms that is relevant to our latter-day practice of Lotus Sutra Buddhism, with Nichiren as our mentor. Yes? Okay. So today, energy. First meaning of energy, potential. And you can see potential in this reference manual. There's lots of references in these because so much of Buddhism terminology is really just ways of talking about the same thing. So they all interrelate. So I tried, without going crazy, because every term could reference every other term. That would be nuts, huh? But some terms are more to the point, either variations or insights into the term we're now discussing. So energy, potential, very interrelated, right? Almost, in a way, in Buddhist thought, certainly interchangeable. Anyway, the note I put after potential is an important one. Energy has no form, right? Sometimes we think of energy as a thing. But as we understand from Buddhism, and if you look up potential or engine of life, I didn't put that in here, but you'll understand that energy has no form. By the time form exists, we've already left energy into the formations of states of energy, manifesting something with form. Mass or massless, doesn't matter. Like a photon, has no mass, but it has a form, right? Second, Britannica, for instance, on the internet, says energy is the capacity for doing work. The capacity for doing work. It's not the work, right? Energy plus work is what? Yeah, we've talked about that on this channel. It's karma. We'll get to that. It may exist in potential, kinetic, thermal, electrical, chemical, nuclear, or other. Now here, see, Britannica says, or other forms. Not quite right, is it? Potential of other forms. Energy, they're identifying where energy can be observed via its formations, but they're not saying it quite right. 3, Wikipedia. In physics, energy, from ancient Greek, activity, is the quantitative property that is transferred to a body or to a physical system, recognizable in the performance of work and in the form of heat and light. Words are struggling to embrace this term here, right? Not bad, though. Energy is a conserved quantity. In other words, you can't add or subtract from energy. Energy just is. We'll understand this better as Buddhists, but let's just struggle through these dictionary and encyclopedic descriptions and see how we can get lost in this if we're not careful, right? The law of conservation of energy states that energy can be converted in form, not converted, but exist within all form, right? But this says converted in form. And they're talking about if you burn a piece of wood, it becomes fire and that radiates heat. So they're saying that's a conversion of form. Well, certainly the form is converting. The energy, though, is always the same. And that's their very own postulate there, is that energy is conserved, but they're not saying it right. Isn't that frustrating? But not created or destroyed. The unit of measurement for energy in the International System of Units, the SI, is the joule. Common forms of energy include the kinetic energy of a moving object, momentum, the potential energy stored by an object, for instance, due to its position in a field. They still struggle with how do we know there's energy there, but we don't see the bucket that holds it. Words, right? The elastic energy stored in a solid object, chemical energy associated with chemical reactions, the radiant energy carried by electromagnetic radiation, and the internal energy contained within the thermodynamic system. So what they're saying is we see the evidence of formations, which can only be formations of this energy, and we see it result in form. So we know it's there. But they can't grab it. They can't identify it. They haven't even found a word other than energy to, right? Because you can't thingify energy. That's why it's so Buddhist if you really get it. Let's go on. They then say all living organisms constantly take in and release energy. And remember, to us, living organisms, the universe is a living organ. Everything is life. See, but those kind of words, they're slippery. Due to mass energy equivalence, E equals mc squared, any object that has mass, when stationary, called a rest mass or quiescence, also has an equivalent amount of energy whose form is is called rest energy. What is rest energy? Isn't that quiescence? So they're just so close. And any additional energy of any form or tendency and condition, because they're mixing up the word form here, right? Form as a manifestation and form as a condition or tendency. They're not making that very clear, and that's why a lot of people get confused. Acquired by the object above, that rest energy will increase and the object's total mass just as it increases its total energy. Okay, a little bit of word salad, but it's easy to follow. So now I continue from this. The book says, as we can see, energy is the essential component of all things, as well as the potential for all things. In Buddhism, this fundamental property of existence versus non-existence is evident through the teaching of the concepts of beginningless time, emptiness, non-substantiation, all terms we've heard, right? Impermanence, self, no self, anatman, and the moment-to-moment instantiations of the cycle of birth and death. Energy manifesting in various form through the discrete process of formation, decaying and dissolving into quiescence in a moment of repetition. See karma. Another way to think about energy is that it has no form. Form comes about from the process of formations. Formations are collections of tendencies arising from energy that collect and either manifest momentum, right, kinetics, or simply disperses back into a quiescence of potential. See engine of life. So basically what I've done in 1.5 paragraphs there is summed up these other verbose and kind of slippery definitions and given them the clarity of Buddhist insight to understand the process that they're having trouble identifying. It's amazing to me that Shakyamuni had this insight almost 3,000 years ago. Explaining it to people, no small feat, right? But you and I can get this. We just take our time and really understand that what is happening in our world, samsara or not, is the manifestations of expressions of energies in an explosion of different ways. It's all energy, right? From the simplest hydrogen atom to the most complex radioactive, from skyscrapers to snails, it's all the same process at work. How astounding is that? That's an incredible insight. So why do we need that insight? What's that about? So what? Right? I eat a snail and I go up a skyscraper. What's the difference? The difference is that understanding the process, we no longer need to fear the elevator, worry about the snail. Is it good? Is it bad? Am I going to get sick? Oh my goodness. My office isn't worth a shit because I'm in the basement. I need to be on the 157th floor to be worth anything in the world. People will see me as stupid. All that anxiety and stress is because we thingify things, right? But the moment we shift our mind, and I make it sound easy, but when we chant, this is what we're doing, right? Somebody just wrote me, got a new mandala, and they were chanting, and it was like the mandala was changing form and brightness, and yay! That's what you've heard me talk about that before. That's that fusion with Gohonzon, not the mandala, but as you're penetrating your Gohonzon mind of Buddha-ness, the very object of the scroll, the mandala, starts to kind of dissolve as it's challenging the samsaric idea of reality. Right there on that scroll, when it becomes actual mandala, it's just a guide, a pointer to your Gohonzon mind. And the mandala, it doesn't want to hold a specific form because it's an activity. That's Buddha-ness. Chase that, be that, experience that. And the more you do, the more your life will change. It'll change to spite your samsaric attachment because that Buddha mind, once opened, perceives in new ways. Doesn't, I hear all the time, a certain kind of people aren't in my life anymore. Did you actively try to do that? Well, not in samsara, you didn't. But by opening your Buddha mind, your energy, those people are no longer interested in you. You didn't have to repel them. Your Buddha nature knows. Right? That's why this practice is so amazing. Okay, so that is energy. Next, engine of life. Whew, that's going to be a big one. Okay. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking, subscribing. If you can, go to threefoldlotus.com. Lots of study material there. You can download for free. The ebooks, especially the recent ones from this year, all available there. So you can save some money because print books are getting really expensive and shipping. It gets ridiculous throughout the world. So you can get an e-copy, right? And have it right away. Those of you who support on Patreon through PayPal, you make this possible. You make it possible for me to create new study material, to expand this Sangha. So we're all very appreciative of your purchases, donations, however you can support our endeavor and grow our Sangha. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Please take care of your health. be kind, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay? With that, bye for now.